How do I price my cleaning jobs? How do I come up with the numbers that are fair and profitable and not too much or not too low? That's number 2 question that's asked as you follow cleaning communities. Number 1 would be, how do I get leads? Of course, first you have to figure out how to get the leads, and then you need to quote them properly so you can execute and profit. And in this video, we're gonna go over how to price cleaning jobs. And when going over the formula, what I'd like to do is give you the core, the essence, because many people ask, what tool should I use? Are there free tools? What software? Are there applications? What should I do and who should I ask? And instead of having you rely on someone, I'd like you to understand that essence, because once you know that, then you can price any jobs. And it is true, there are 2 pricing strategies and methodologies out there, right? One is per hour and the other one per square feet. Both of them work. Neither is wrong, neither is wrong. So both of them are right. But unless you understand how they come up with the pricing, you won't understand. You literally won't get the jobs. You could be too expensive. If you're too expensive, then you're missing out on those projects, because customers are just, what do clients do when they get the quote? The rule of thumb, especially in commercial, if you go to procurement, which is a government contract, and then you'll understand this more. When you get the quote, you submit your bid, the procurement officers will look at they'll compile all the quotas they receive. They'll take the most expensive ones, they throw them away, then take the cheapest ones, they throw them away, and what's left in the middle, they start evaluating. And when they evaluate, now you're competing. So what I'm trying to say by this example, you need to be in the middle. Wherever you go, you cannot be the cheapest person, you cannot be the expensive person, because that if you're expensive, you won't get the job. If you're cheapest, you're literally paying out of your pocket to fulfill your obligations, because you end up finding that it costs you more. So when you're in this middle pack, then other things come to play, and that's where you want to be. And when the other things come to play is your experience, your presentation, how do you handle yourself, your references, your insurance, your image, how you present yourself to the customers. So there's a lot more things, right? Cleaning might seem super easy, but there's a lot of moving parts. I remember when I was bidding in the beginning, I'm like, I just hold my paper and stick, and then use different techniques, right? I tried to impress the customer as much as I would. I'd go to a walkthrough and I tried to spit out a quote on the spot just to show that, oh, I do this all the time and I'm really good at it. But then my numbers would be off. And those that I got, I lost money. I mean, I fulfilled, but I lost money. And those that I didn't, because I just spit out the numbers, so it didn't work. So one of the things, kind of pro tip for you, unless you really have a formula that you put in, this formula, and it spits out the proposal and everything, and you're 100% sure, then there's no reason for you to spit out the number for a client right there. You can actually go home, marinate, put it on your nice proposal and send it. And another pro tip, do not delay it more than 2 days. I would say I would get it to them very next day or the second day. Some people go like week and more. I wouldn't do that. So once I learned that, I start getting into the ballpark. And before you do that as well, what I'd like you to do is, based on the area where you live, you need to find out what other people are charging. And you just do a competitor research. You can go on a website. You can call in some companies and find out what quotes they ask. You probably, if you've been in a business long enough, you've gotten yourself calls where some people were asking your quotes. But I actually have a video how to weed out those people. Go and see it after this video. So you want to know what on average people are asking before you start putting your price. If you're a newer company, you want to be lower. If you're an experienced company and your overhead is more, then naturally you'll start become more. So the formula is this. You will understand the net cost, right? The net cost is what it actually costs you to do the job. And after this video, we're gonna do 2 case scenarios, one residential, I'll spit out a rough quote, and then the other one is for commercial recurring jobs. So the net cost is what it costs you to do the job. And that's not just labor hours. Let's say you pay someone $20 an hour, and for 5 hours, it's $100. So it's not just that. Remember, your net cost includes your tools that you utilize, includes anything you might rent. For example, if it's a pressure washer you need, or a walk behind scrubber you need, that the product that you buy for that scrubber or the piece of equipment, if it needs to be shipped, delivered, that's your net cost. You have to know, if you were to pay cash, so that's a good way of thinking it. If you were to pay cash to get this job done, and you're a customer now, how much would you pay, right? So that's your net cost. So once you understand that, you write it down. labor, equipment, rental, deliveries, anything else that might be needed to just execute. Otherwise, you would not buy or spend this money. That's how you isolate this, the net cost. So you get that. On top of this, you put your overhead. Now, that's not profit. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake. They ignore overhead altogether, which then comes out from your pocket. So some people will go, oh, I want 25% profit on it, and they just mark it up 25%. But the number will be wrong in this case because you're not estimating your office hours, your time, insurance. They're hidden costs that you do not see, right? And they called overhead. Your uniforms that you wear, your pens, your gas, money that you went back, otherwise you wouldn't take it, your phone, your infrastructure. So all of those considered as overhead. And if you do, I actually have a calculator that breaks down hourly and how to come up with the overhead. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it after this, but this is the core that I'm giving to you. So you've got the net, you figure out your overhead, and once you have your monthly overhead, you don't just attach the whole thing to this, you just put a percentage of it to this job. So you've got the net cost plus overhead, and you close the parentheses because you come up with the net cost for this, right? So you've got net cost of doing the job, the overhead percentage. So you add this, close it. Once you have the total of that, then you multiply it to the percentage that you'd like to profit. And this is the core formula. So again, I'll go again. So open parenthesis, net cost of doing the job plus your overhead expenses, whatever you do not see, close parenthesis, multiplied percentage. And this is blank. Whatever the percentage your market can do, and whatever the percentage your company requires. If you've been in a business for longer, your percentage will be bigger, the profit that you'd like, because your reputation sells for itself. If you're just going into it, then you want to stay low, because otherwise the person is just gonna go to somebody who's more experienced and whose name they've seen a lot more often. So this would be your core formula. And let's do the math. We're gonna do one for residential and we're gonna do one for commercial. And again, look, I'm using nothing. It is the napkin math. That's what I'm teaching. It's the core of anything. So let's say you've got a house that you have to clean once a month, and that costs you $100 for a person to pay. Let's say you're utilizing a subcontractor for simplicity of the numbers, and the subcontractor has their equipment, everything that they need to do, and they don't use your gasoline, your car doesn't go amortized, which means, remember, each time your car drives back and forth, it's amortized, right? You have to change the oil frequently, quicker, you have to rotate the tires, you have to get the new tires, your battery is gonna run out. So all of those costs not applicable for you in this case. So let's say $100 net to do this job. Then on top, you spend some money on getting this customer, whether it was an outside, like out push marketing, whether you do, or you did the inbound marketing, it doesn't matter. You paid either with your time, with money, or with both. So let's say in this case, I know it's $25 to overhead to break even. So now I've got my net cost $100 plus $25 for this job, close parenthesis. So this gives me $125 on top, right? So now my total is $125, but I'm making no profit. So let's say I want to make $50 on this, and then I just add $50, or you can do the percentage, whatever the percentage you want, 20%, 30%. So the math will change. In this case, I want to get to $50 net profit. So my math would be $175 to go and clean this house once a month. And again, right, the lesser the frequency between the intervals and smaller the scope of work, the lesser you charge the customer. And it's natural. The bigger it is, the more you charge. So now let's do the math for a commercial account. Let's say you've got a commercial account that takes someone's to go there and be there for 3 hours and do the cleaning. And let's say you're charging $35 an hour, so they'll put you on $100 a clean, and I'm rounding it up. And this person needs you to clean once a week. So in this case, you've got $100, you multiply to 52, and then, which is 5,200 divided to 12, that's like $433. And when I said $35, your $35 already included your person's hourly rate. Let's say it was $20. Go back to that parenthesis, $20 plus $5 your overhead, so that's 25, and a $10 of your profit. So that was your hourly, and then you did it to 3, which gave you $100 per service. You multiply it to 52, come up with yearly, divide this to 12, come up with monthly. And then the only thing that you want to add to this, if you have not done and if it's applicable for your state, is taxes. If your state collects taxes. In the state of Maryland, residential services, cleaning services are not taxable, but commercial ones are taxable. So you need to know about that. And overall, the labor in the state of Maryland is not taxable. So you have to know the laws and regs for your county and jurisdiction. So if I'm doing residential, for example, in the state of Maryland, I'm not required to collect taxes. But when I go commercial, that's excluded service, I am required to collect taxes. So then the taxes go on top of that, and in the state of Maryland, 6%. And then one more charge. And if you're getting value from this, then I would appreciate that like button. And thank you so much for doing it. Don't forget to subscribe because more videos are coming, and that will let me know that I'm doing actually good for you guys. The more friends you bring in, the bigger we become, the more I can contribute and hopefully see you witnessing and growing bigger. Any feedback how you differentiate your estimating would be super interesting if you leave it down in the comments, because the other people will come in and then they look at it as well. And so yes, we have the net, we have the total, then the state tax will go on top unless they are tax exempt. And if they are tax exempt, then you ask for a tax exemption certification and you must hold it, because remember, Uncle Sam's wants you to pay the taxes on a schedule and you cannot miss that. So make sure if you're audited, when you have, should you have not paid taxes and you have tax exemption certificate, then that is how you get away or like proof that you're in the right. And then one more charge that goes on top of it, depending upon how customer wants to pay. So should they want to do the credit card, remember most of the credit cards are reward credit cards and they have fees. So which means whenever you accept the reward credit cards, then you're paying fee. So the processing fee will go on top of it. But there's a work around that. Maybe you can do the ACH, which is they just transfer directly to you. In this case, you only pay like 50 cents to your processing bank, and you might just waive it. It's a convenience to customer because money comes to your account immediately. There's also Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, and those are the money will just come to your account too. So, or just take a regular check or cash, whichever it is. In those cases, there's literally no processing fee, which means you don't have to mark it up accordingly. So hope this helps. Keep me posted about your progress. How you guys doing? Check out the video where I break down how to come up with the overhead, and I provide the Excel spreadsheet that you can download and utilize for yourselves and keep on growing your businesses. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.